Good evening, everyone. Like we have everybody on the line. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'd like to welcome everyone to our city of Palatka, May 28th, 2020 meeting. Can you hear me? Just 1 second.
I can hear you, Mr. Mayor.
I've got some feedback from this YouTube live thing. I've got you. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with our meeting. We're calling the meeting to order. We're going to have roll call at this time. Commissioner McCaskill. McCaskill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown.
She's going to unmute her.
Commissioner Boyle.
Present.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying out this. Give me 1 second. We got you. All members are present. I'm here as well, Terrell Hill. All members are present and we have a quorum. Okay, I think I'm back on. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, we can hear you.
If we can, I'd like to go ahead and if everyone could bow their heads for the invocation. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you right now, asking that you be with this commission as we move forward in these meetings. Ask that you look over this community, Lord, that you allow us to continually be unified, that you allow us to allow whatever social differences we have to be worked out through things that are decent and in order in your name. Lord, we also ask that you watch over the families of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, and that you touch those families, Lord, as they're grieving right now. We ask that you watch over those communities and this nation as we find ourselves in a social divide. Lord, we ask that you just continue to touch the minds of people, those that are out there doing activities that we disagree with, as far as looting and things of that nature. You ask them that they continue to protest civilly and have their voices be heard, not by their actions, but by the causes that they're fighting for. We ask that you continue to protect everyone that's involved in all of these egregious situations, that you allow us, this country, to heal as a whole, that you allow this community to heal, and all those communities that are affected from Indianapolis to Brunswick. But most of all, Lord, we ask that you allow everyone to have empathy for one another and to love their neighbor as themselves. Lord, we ask that you just allow this community to continue to prosper without incident, that you allow us to grow, and that we can continue to have concern for our fellow man. We ask that you watch us during this pandemic, and that you would just keep us all safe from hurt, harm, and danger, and allow us to do things according to your sight and remain safe. In Christ's name we pray, amen. So we'll stand for the pledge to the flag at this time. Commissioner Campbell, if you can lead us.
If you would join with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Next up is approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes for the May 14th meeting?
Motion to
Sure.
approve.
Second.
Motion on the floor, and there's a second by Commissioner Campbell. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Questions called, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on at this time to approval of the minutes from the May 19th meeting, our special call meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion on the floor in a second. Is there any unreadiness? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up is public comments. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. If you are here for public comment, please give your name and address so that we'll have it for the record. The public comments for general public comment. Right now, we will go ahead and ask you to dial in at 329-0100. Again, that's 386-329-0100 if you want to be heard during public comment. If you call, please mute your computer or device that you are on so that we won't get feedback at the same time. So again, if there's anyone here for general public comment, the number is 329-0100. Just for the record, we can hold about 3 lines and then we can move forward from there. I've got my first caller for public comment.
What do I stop on?
Hello, caller.
Okay, this is Martin Reed at 516 Emmett Street, and guess what I'm gonna bring up? Mr. Mayor,
You can bring it up.
pardon?
You got 3 minutes. You can bring up what you want. Commissioner Campbell, you got a clock running?
I do.
Say your name and address for the record, Ms. Reese. Hello,
Okay, well, we're having,
I can hear you. Just go ahead and start talking. Name and address.
Martin Reed at 516 Emmett Street.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
516 Emmett Street, Palatka, Florida.
I got you. Go ahead and tell us what your call is about, ma'am.
I'm calling about the storm drain and my thing here, and I'm gonna thank Mr. Holmes for sending me the letter. So let me tell you something, we still have a few things to check out. My thing here, and I'm gonna thank Mr. Holmes for sending me the letter. So let me tell you something, we still have a few things to check out.
Okay. You've got a few things to check out.
I'm having feedback with you.
That's from, if you can mute your device,
My phone?
no, your computer or whatever you're watching the meeting on.
Oh, okay, just a minute. There's that better?
Okay. And can you just step away from the device a little bit and go ahead and continue talking?
Okay, we got it.
Okay, we're good. That's good right there. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry to take up all your time. Thank you, Mr. Holmes, for your letter, but there's a few things you got wrong in there, and I'd like to correct you and talk with you about that tomorrow. I won't take up their time tonight. These guys are doing a good job, but guess what? This is the first time I've ever had any flooding on Emmett Street. And guess where it's at? And I don't like it, and I wish that you guys would not vote on letting it be there, because it is not right. If I wanted it there, I've moved downtown and had that storm drain in there, but I don't, people, please. I have been here for 60 years. Just because they didn't have a driveway or an apron out here between the street and my driveway does not mean that I have never used my driveway. I am a driver. I've been here for 60 years, and I drive. If you look at the street or the neighbor right next door, you see he had grass in his driveway too. We both do, or I did. Now I got clay, storm drain, trash, and water.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I don't want it there, people.
All
You
right.
expected it when I said something about it. It wouldn't cost us $10,000 to move it.
Well, I got a chance to ride by your property today. And unless you flooded somewhere between 5:30 and 6:11, it wasn't flooded when I went by.
You have never had any flooding. The only thing that we've got here right now is where they have dug down so deep that now I've got water standing in my driveway.
You're in the middle of a road construction project. Maybe we should let them finish and see what the project looks like before we finish.
Well, I'm gonna love you project before you finish. But I told you before you put that damn thing in my
See, that's
driveway
the,
here,
so that's the first problem right there. You can't, you will not be allowed to curse at staff or the commission, no matter how upset you get. So,
Okay, I'm not cussing at you. I am just cussing because I'm mad, because nobody has paid attention to me. And now you're trying to think that because it's gonna cost the city money, that you're not gonna move it. Well, guess what, you guys? I told you before that thing went in there that this was a driveway. Oh, no, ma'am, it's on the plan. Well.
all right.
plans
Well,
are
your
wrong.
time's up. We've already spent your time. Your time's up. Mr. Holmes will get back with you tomorrow and you guys can talk more about it, but please don't curse when you talk to him, okay?
Okay, are you gonna vote on this tonight?
No, we're not voting on it tonight. We're not taking any action on topics of discussion at this time. So,
Okay, thank you very much, and y'all have a good day, and I'm sorry for my cut.
thank you. Have a blessed day. All right, is there anyone else here who wants to dial 329-0100 for public comment? Please don't curse when you call. Again, 386-329-0100. Seeing nobody, we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time and move on to our consent agenda under item 2. Item 2 of the consent agenda, we've got 3 items, A through C, on consent for tonight. Is there any item that you wish to have removed from consent at this time?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as it is.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, you said items A through C. I have A through F on my
I got-
amended
I'm sorry.
agenda.
And I
I
have.
got 2 different agendas, I'm sorry. So again, items A through F. I looked at the other agenda.
Yes, sir. It was A through F that I have as well.
Motion on the floor to approve items A through F.
What is after C?
I can't hear.
Sorry.
You got to unmute?
Vice Mayor asked what were the items D, E, and F, and Commissioner McCaskill just walked over and gave her the amended agenda.
So just for the record, items D, E, and F are to authorize emergency work order with TV Landmark Construction. E is the resolution number 2020 R58, authorization to submit an application to the Division of Historical Resources for the rehabilitation and restoration of City Hall. And F is authorized submission of the Division of Historical Resources Special Category Grant Application for rehabilitation restoration of the old Union Station in Palatka. That's the railroad station. So put the motion on the floor in a second. Is there
I'd like
any
to-
further discussion?
Well, I like to pull the one for discussion for the city hall and also for the station or whatever, just to have a little bit of a discussion around that.
All right, so we've got Commissioner Board wants to pull E and F. I guess because there is some confusion. We'll withdraw the other motion just for the sake of Commissioner Campbell, will you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion and I'll restate the motion to accept the agenda as it is, with the exception of pulling items E.
Yeah.
E and F.
Second.
Seconded again by Commissioner McCaskill. Any further discussion on those two items? On that item, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor say aye, all opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item E, authorization to submit an application to the Division of Historical Resource Rehabilitation Restoration of City Hall. Item E, Ms. Tucker or Mr. Griffith, you want to go ahead and address that, or Mr. Holmes?
Certainly. Mr. Holmes, would you like to address it first, or would you like me to speak?
I'll intro. In looking at City Hall in the last few weeks and discussing possible opportunities for improving City Hall, spoke with Ms. Tucker and Mr. Griffith, and it was determined that there's a possibility, maybe a good possibility, that we might be able to qualify for a historical preservation grant with a 25% match in an amount up to $500,000, which would allow us to start at least phase one of a project to renovate City Hall. As you all know, the bones of this building are solid, according to Mr. Griffith, but electrical, plumbing, such things as Ethernet or cables for computer connections, some of the bathrooms, we do have certain needs there. So if it's possible for us to get a historic preservation grant and perhaps improve the building with only a 25% match, it was thought that that would be a worthwhile project to pursue, regardless of what the future of the building is. The requirements of the grants now require authorization by the governing body to submit the application. And so for that reason, both items E and F found their way on your agenda tonight.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Well, no, I just wanted to kind of at least hear a little bit about it. I know it wasn't on there, and I want to commend the staff for finding those grants, because I mean, if the city had to pay for that out of pocket, I mean, we're looking at possibility of $500,000, and we're going to be looking at only paying out roughly around $200,000 in order to be able to get like 1.3 million in total between the two grants. Now, my understanding, right, is that correct?
Only the grant for City Hall would require the city to put up the match. We would be able to match the grant for the train station with the St. Johns River Water Management District cost share that they're awarding us right now for the permeable paver project.
Right. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is I saw that was 25% on this other one too. So I thought maybe 25% of whatever the monies that we get. And I thought that they also gave a 100% match of whatever. So if we get 500,000 match, and we only have to pay 25% of that. I mean, we're going to be paying the 100,000, and
Yes.
we're going to get the we pay the 100,000 for that piece, and we get 400,000, and we get additional 500. Well, is it do we get 800,000 additional, or how does that work? Is it four more? Do they match it 100%? So we get
Match is
another
125
400,000.
the match is going to be 125 on the 500,000.
Right, I was just thinking about the amount of money that we put out versus what we're getting back, and I think that's overall, I think y'all are doing an awesome job in terms of getting these grants. And I think it's well worth having a conversation about, because we're really winning big time here. So that's why I just want to have a discussion around that without talking about it, just moving forward. So I thank y'all and I appreciate the work. So we're ready for voting on that.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve on item E?
Motion to
approve.
item E.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Commissioner McCaskill, a second by Commissioner Borum. Any further discussion on this item?
Question.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Brown, nod your head if that's aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item F, resolution number 2020 R59, authorizing submission of Division of Historical Resources Special Category Grant Application for the rehabilitation and restoration of Old Union Station in Palatka, Florida.
Yes, so this grant application would be to lengthen the platform and also raise it to ADA standards using the permeable paver system. So it also helps control the flooding in the area, as well as laying the parking area with the permeable pavers. So the match for this grant is actually Water Management District dollars that they just awarded us. So we'll be asking the Division of Historical Resources for $500,000, and then we're able to match it with the cost share funds.
And it's consistent with the platform enhancements that we got from the AIRS project.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Campbell,
Second.
second by Commissioner
Second.
Bohr. Is there any further discussion? Unmute your mics, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on in the agenda to item number 3, an ordinance accepting IRS changes for Palatka Police and General Pension as recommended by respective pension boards. First reading, Ms. Tucker.
An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, revising the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palatka, Florida, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Officers and Employees Division 4, General Employees Retirement Plan by amending Section 2-202, Internal Revenue Code Qualification, amending Section 2-212, Deferred Retirement Option Plan, providing for severability, providing for a repealer, and providing for an effective date.
Any motion at this time?
So move.
Second.
So motion on the floor by Commissioner Campbell, a second by Commissioner McCaskill. At this time, we'll open the floor up for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? If you have any comments under public hearing as it relates to this item, please dial 329-0100. Again, 386-329-0100 for your public comments on this item. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. Is there any further discussion from the commission? Seeing no comments from the commission, I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to recommendation for approval. It's a recommendation for postponing
Sir?
July 4th fireworks celebration.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. There's a second
I'm
ordinance.
sorry. Subsection B on item 3.
An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, revising the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palatka, Florida, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Officers and Employees, Division 7, Police Officers Retirement Plan by amending Section 2-250.140, Retirement Plan Purpose, Name, effective date by amending section 2-250.360, required distributions, providing for severability, providing for a repealer, and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
First on the floor in a second. We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? If you're here for public hearing, the number is 386-329-0100. Again, 386-329-0100. Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any further discussion from the commission? Questions called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Before we get into the fireworks, we're going to go ahead and have our student of the month. So we've got student of the month for April and May. Student of the month for April and May. I will turn it over to Ms. Robinson. See if I have. Let's go ahead and start our presentation. I'll go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead. For student of the month for April. Browning Pierce Elementary, Caleb Wilson. Children's Reading Center Charter School, Kendall Wilkinson. E.H. Miller School, James Cubber. James A. Long Elementary School, Paisley Williams. Kelly Smith Elementary School, Lila Marnell. Mellon Elementary, Sanaya Crittenden. Mosley Elementary School, Jasmine Daniels. Now our middle schools, CL Overturf 6th grade center, Kendall Lowe. Jenkins Middle School, Curtis Shorter. Putnam Academy of Arts and Sciences, Charity Gibbons. Now our high school students, Palatka High School, Peyton Wells. Putnam Edge High School, Danny Knowles. Let's give a round of applause virtually for our April Student of the Month kids. And we now move on to our May distance learners as well. Student of the Month for May 2020 from the elementary schools are as follows. Browning Pierce, for Shaylin Spencer. Children's Reading Center Charter School, Mason Morris. From James A. Long, Garrett Smith, Kelly Smith Elementary. Davion Bonet Valdez, Mellon Elementary. Leah Rodriguez, Mosley Elementary. Corey Black. On to our middle schools. CL Overturf 6th grade center, Xavier Thompson. E.H. Miller School, Dustin Hawkins. Jenkins Middle School, Kimaria Banks. Putnam Academy of Arts and Sciences, Haley Duncan. And for our high schools, Palatka High, Cody Bennett. Putnam Edge High School, Shay Jernigan. That concludes our Student of the Month presentations. Do we have any comments from the commission as we're getting ready for the close of school?
I would just like to say congratulations to the Student of the Month for April as well as May, and even going back to March. We know to wrap up this school year has been very difficult for some, but you persevered and you made good out of a situation that affected us all. So to continue to strive for excellence means a lot, and continue to do well. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Anyone else?
Congratulations to all the young people. Good luck.
Commissioner Borum.
All right, we just want to just congratulate all of the students who adjusted to the distance learning and showed their maturity and dedication getting through the rest of this year. And we hope that this don't continue for much longer, but we do know if we have to return to this method of learning, that our students are pretty much in tune with how things work from a distance learning standpoint. So I just congratulate them and thank them for all their hard work and dedication.
This is Commissioner McCaskill. Just want to congratulate all the students for all of the hard work that they put in, as well as the parents and faculty and staff. Just thank you.
Definitely. And again, also thank you to our educators for the great work that they've done under the circumstances in all capacities. We also want to congratulate the class of 2020. We know this has not been an ideal school year for you and an ideal ending as to your high school, middle school, and elementary careers. But what should be a time for gatherings and celebration has been a time for creativity and for adjustments. And those are some of the things that we get from life as a whole. But we definitely want to make sure that we acknowledge you and that we let you guys know that we are proud of you and we are celebrating with you from afar. We will continue to celebrate up until the time in which we go back to some semblance of normal. And when we do that, we'll make sure that we continue to give you the accolades that you so deserve for your final year of high school, middle school, or elementary school. Aside from that, for our Student of the Month, we just want to let you know that as we tell every group that comes through here at City Hall, Ms. Thomasina Green was my third grade teacher roughly some 40 years ago. And she started every day out with one simple thing that we would all repeat as a class. And it simply said, I am somebody. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it because I am somebody. You guys are somebody special. You've shown that through the work that you've done in the middle of a pandemic. Continually strive for greatness. Don't let anybody deter you from anything that you want to do. Remember that you are somebody special and the city of Palatka loves you. And we appreciate the work that you've put in and the sacrifices that you've made during this pandemic. So again, a round of applause to all of our young people and the educators as they finish up with their distance learning for this school year. So again, kudos to both the Putnam County School District as a whole, its staff and faculty for the work that they've done, and our students of the Putnam County School District. So again, thank you guys for all that you do. Next up on our agenda is our recommendation for approval for postponing July 4th fireworks celebration. So we have Mr. Griffith on the phone.
Yes, Mayor. As you recall, at the last meeting, the commission tabled this item for a later date. June 1st is the deadline for us to provide notice to Connex, who is the sole bidder on this presentation for the July 4th ceremony. That is for a barge ceremony. June 15th is the deadline to provide notice to them for a show off of the city dock.
So I want everybody to be, recommendation is to postpone the fireworks at this time. And I want everybody to be conscious of the fact that one of the reasons the recommendation is such is we are still in phase one. We are early on as it relates to trying to reopen this community. We are still not at the point where the courts are set solid on their dates to even reopen. And we've not gotten to a point where the schools have reopened. We've seen an increase since our last meeting from 127 cases to 144 cases yesterday through increased testing. But we are by no means out of the woods as it relates to COVID. We've had conversations with groups such as PYP about them doing fireworks in September. And we're looking at an opportunity, we're hoping for an opportunity to give you a very special fireworks in September. That's far enough out that we can still start to plan. But right now, we don't know what, when we move into phase two, and we don't even know what the impacts are going to be from the ways that we've been moving thus far. Statistically, we've not had that downturn to put us in a position where we want to go ahead and risk opening up over these next 30 days. And I think June 1st just doesn't give us enough time to make that decision and put your safety in the best position possible. And so we're trying to creatively do other events to work with it. But I think just out of prudent care, it's best for us to postpone this event until such time that we find ourselves with more information as it relates to how we're reopening. We're seeing some businesses reopen, but we've not seen the large gatherings be in a permissive state at this time. Any other? And so
Motion to postpone this event until we are cleared as it relates to public health and safety.
So there's a motion to approve staff's recommendation to postpone. Is there a second? Was a second by Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Who made the second?
I did, sir.
Commissioner Campbell. Is there any further discussion or comment at this time? Seeing none, go ahead. Question's been called by Commissioner McCaskill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to city manager and administrative reports. Mr. Holmes, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. First, I'd like to bring up a couple of items that have been discussed very recently regarding our reopening some activities that we believe may be timely. As you probably all know, when we closed city offices and city facilities, we made that closure across the board. One of the facilities that we operate is our airport. As you know, probably know, our airport normally has limited traffic consisting of general aviation aircraft. And some of that aircraft is heavier than others. We do have a few jets that come in on a frequent basis. But right now, our actual terminal building is closed. And so those that come in can buy gas through the use of a credit card with facilities at the pump area itself. But as far as coming in, even to the point of, I think, our restrooms inside the building, I believe those are all closed to the general public and to the air traffic or the traveling public. So I'd like to ask the commission's direction regarding perhaps reopening our terminal. As I said, we normally have no more than a total of 3 staff people at the airport. Mr. Ewell, the airport manager, and then 2 others or 1 other. And then normally our traffic is such so that you don't have a large gathering of people inside the terminal building at any time. So I wanted to ask the commission's thoughts about reopening the terminal itself, making the restrooms available, as well as essentially the pilot lounge. And there's a weather room for flight planning inside the airport terminal as well. So with that, Mr. Ewell, I hope is on the phone. And if you have questions of him in in particular, then hopefully he's available to answer those. Otherwise, I'll do my best to answer them.
Yeah, I am here on the phone here. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And our lobby is large enough, and we don't normally have any more than, I guess, 5 people or so. And I kind of think we could get some Lexan and put it up at the front counter and provide some protection like you see at Lowe's and stuff. But we are, we're not heavily traveled. So I thank you very much for putting this forward. And I'd like to ask the same, that if we could possibly open this up, I think we can keep it safe.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
Is that an emergency item, or are we voting on that, or is it the emergency item? How do we want to move forward with that?
We can take it. We can actually vote on the recommendation from Mr. Holmes, and he can move forward with it. We can do it so we don't have to take it as an emergency item, because we can do it through the executive, through the state of emergency that I sign weekly on this, and we can do it from there. But I want to just make sure that we get the concurrence from the commission as it relates to where we are.
I just have a question, and it may, I know we talked about the protection component. What are we doing to make sure that the building is properly sanitized prior to the reopening of the facility? And what is the ongoing maintenance to make sure that it's properly sanitized just about every day for those that come in, to ensure that their safety is first with that?
Chief Grimes.
We do.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I was just going to say, like you said, we're kind of a large facility with only 3 people, and we keep our workplaces sanitary. And that is about it.
Chief Grimes.
No,
Yeah.
We can't get hand sanitizer and stuff. We do open up to the public, but so far we've been meeting people at the door and taking their credit cards and stuff for inside purchases. But if we're allowed to, reopen, we will get, hand sanitizers and plexiglass. And
If Mr. Grimes, Chief Grimes, is on the phone or on the Zoom,
yes, sir. I'm
I
here.
know that Chief Grimes has basically an invention, I guess, of his own creation to an extent that allows for a larger scale sanitation activity. I don't know that it would have to be done on a daily basis, but periodically, perhaps he could advise about the possibility of him using that apparatus to help sanitize the interior of the terminal, Chief.
And let me jump in here for a minute. Chief did give us some of his special blend of decontaminant. So thank you very much, Chief. We've got that in a spray bottle out here. Like you said, I don't know if we would need it on a daily basis. The device that the Chief has there, but we do have some of that chemical here.
I mean, I would highly recommend, we've been in the process of cleaning our work areas at a minimum of twice a day. We have the Lysol wipes available that they can still wipe counters with. Be happy, on a daily basis, if need be, we can arrange for Mr. Fletcher or myself. We'll go out there and sanitize the building to, the best we can. I mean, I would recommend at least doing the high traffic bathroom areas and such like that every day. And the high traffic door handles, at least spray them down. It doesn't take a few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes a day, just a quick buzz through the airport. That'd be my recommendation. And let's keep it as clean as possible if we're gonna open it up.
I just think I think that's very important, especially with traffic that's from the outside that will be coming in, not necessarily those that will be there or have been there on a day-to-day basis. I think it kind of heightens the priority to make sure that that area is properly sanitized, because again, the traffic that's in and out, it's coming from an outside source, and we just want to make sure that we keep our people safe as possible, as well as those that come into the building.
Mr. Ewell, if you would just reach out to me, let's get on the schedule for making sure that if the commission decides to move forward, let's just make sure we're on a schedule to where we can keep that place sanitized.
Mr. Mayor, if the commission decides to move forward, I'll get with Mr. Yule and the chief, and we'll put together a little written platform of what our safety precautions are going to be, and implement those if the commission decides to move forward with this.
Okay. That's fine. And we can also get with the health department as well, just to get them on board with what we've got, which we've been doing anyway. So we can move forward. Mr. Holmes, if you want to give both of your recommendations at the same time, we'll just do one motion.
Okay. The second one had to do with our parks. Now, when I mention this, I'm not speaking of organized youth activities. I'm speaking of what would amount to basically, I don't know that you'd call it passive use of our parks, but the use of our parks for activities that are essentially on a small scale basis, not organized youth, but someone who wants to walk through the park or utilize some of our parks for on an individual basis. I was asking the commission's direction, or wanted to ask the commission's thoughts about being able to open the parks for that level of activity. They're being used already, and perhaps Mr. Cutright, if he's on the phone, he could speak to that a little bit and give us his thoughts.
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Holmes. We have had several emails and phone calls asking us when we're going to reopen the city parks, because some of the people saying the county parks are already being in use for general public exercising and walking and just family playing. So the question that was brought to me and I sent to Mr. Holmes was, when will we make a decision on when we're going to reopen the city park? My opinion is we can't really stop them from using it, and they've been using it, sparingly from 2 or 3 kids in the parks throwing balls or parents doing some walking. So why not go ahead and just make a call and say, okay, the city parks will be open? But that's just my personal opinion. But I just wanted to make sure we brought this up so we can get an ideal and a date so we'll know what's going on, because I'm getting several emails and phone calls of this nature since the Governor DeSantis declaration of letting youth programs and everything start back. So a lot of people want to know, when can we start back doing things in the park? And that's it.
And if the commission saw fit to go forward with that, we could have some signs made up requesting that the participants respect social distancing guidelines, try to limit or separate from each other by 6-foot distance, and limit the numbers that are inside the bounds of the park. But I think what we're talking about is, like Mr. Cutright said, walking, maybe tossing a ball around, those kinds of things that would not necessarily be group activities as such, but more of an individualized basis. But again, seeking the commission's direction.
So more along the lines of leisure and exercise.
Yes.
Correct.
So we're seeing it. We're seeing it consistently at many of our local parks. Our citizens are still walking at the Riverfront Park. It's been kind of a place where some folks fish off the banks and other folks are out walking and doing things already. I think our citizens have done a good job of honoring our requests, and at the same time, those that are still present have been doing the things necessary for us to kind of move forward. County parks have been open for about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks now. And it's an opportunity for us to continue to move forward, particularly since the activity has already started.
Yeah, I think we should, fall in line with with the county, as long as we're practicing social distancing. And again, if we're not hosting large events, it just makes sense to move forward, but put the necessary precaution or the information out there as it relates to signs or whatever it may be for social distancing, because we're still in phase 1 or what have you. And at least it's information to the public to say, hey, we're not full scale, we're still in phase 1. Let's still continue to practice social distancing. As long as we're following the CDC guidelines, I think we'll be okay.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else. Vice Mayor, can you unmute? You unmute her, please, Ms. Tillis.
Hold one, if you would.
Okay, I make a motion that we use the airport portion that we think, because we come in by gas and we kind of keep to. And I think we need to exercise on getting out with the portion. And you know, I want to make a motion that we open it to.
I can't hear. I
Is
couldn't
that
hear
her
anything.
computer? Is that her computer or what?
Yeah, it's I couldn't hear it. It was muffled. Seemed like there may have been the connectivity issue on it. Can
This is the first time she's used that.
It may be the first time that the vice mayor has used that computer. Would you like to walk up here and use mine? I think.
I'll tell you that you can take for me that I'm making a open the facilities with special function that we need to do to keep these safe.
Maybe if her computer, or if she doesn't, I mean, I could hear her from a distance, but if you mute her computer, maybe if she talks loud enough, or you, Attorney Holmes, that would be able to hear her.
If I could, she's asked me to relay, and she's sitting 20 feet from me, but she said she made the motion that we go ahead and open the airport with the precautions that were discussed, and with us coming up with a plan with Mr. Yule and Mr. Grimes. And she also would move jointly to open the parks for individual use for exercise and while practicing social distancing, and not to include organized sports or organized youth activities. Was that what you moved, Madam Vice Mayor? She's indicating that was what she moved.
Second that.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Question.
Questions called by Commissioner Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Holmes, you have anything else for your report?
Just very briefly, we had a very successful employee appreciation cookout last Friday. All of you participated, and I think all the employees enjoyed the opportunity to maybe have our appreciation expressed to them. I think it was well attended by the employees. I appreciate everyone's participation in that. We are moving forward at City Hall on a number of different projects, which I won't necessarily detail right now unless you have specific questions, but we're excited about the opportunities that we're being presented and looking forward to moving Palatka forward.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And just kudos to Emmanuel Robinson, who was also the cook on that day, Deborah Robinson's husband, Tank, Ice Cube, whatever you want to call him. He did a great job, and he volunteered to cook for the employees. And again, thanks to this commission as well as to our staff for a job well done, and to Ms. Robinson for coordinating that. We just appreciate that so much. I think it was well needed. And so this commission did a great job. New General Counsel, Ms. Thomas and Mr. Holmes were there as well, working, and it was just a great time to practice social distancing and at the same time be able to fellowship. And so with all the stuff that's been going on for these last 75 days, it's been great. It was just good for us to do that. Looking now, Mr. Griffith, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, everyone's well aware of the emergency repairs that are going to need to occur on US 17 at the intersection of North 23rd Street in the next couple weeks. As we get mobilized on that, obviously, there will be some press releases going out to the public to notify them of the road closure. Just on another note, I'm sure everyone's aware we still have a patch on St. John's Avenue around K. Larkin. We are coordinating with the county on the restoration of that. And the only other thing is, since Ms. Tucker and I have been helping out with the agenda, we have failed to get you guys a project update. So we'll try and get that out by email next week. We apologize.
Duly noted, and with all the stuff going on right now, it definitely for me it's understood. It's been we've had a lot of fires to put out lately, those unanticipated fires. Chief Grimes.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Just want to make our citizens aware, it's already happened. The Atlantic's getting a little comfortable already this year. We've already had 2 named storms out in the Atlantic. Would like to make sure that we just let our citizens know to be prepared. Hurricane season, I think its official first day is on Monday. But just want to make sure our citizens are getting themselves prepared for appears to be an active hurricane season. Other than that, that's about all we have.
Ms. Thomas. Do you have anything for us, Ms. Thomas?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Chief Shaw?
Yes, sir. I wanted to take this time to say I really appreciate and enjoyed the watch party that went on this past Saturday. I thought it was something that was very meaningful to the individuals in the community, a way that we would be able to, under our current circumstances, be able to relax and enjoy each other's company while also practicing our safe distancing. I also like to commend our PAL mentors who took time out of their day over this past week to visit mentees within the community and deliver gifts to them, to let them know that they're still on our minds and they're still in our hearts, and we are still trying to reach out and provide different things that we can provide to those youth in the community. And that's all.
All right, thank you, Chief. See, Mr. Cutright, anything else?
Well, yes, I would like to first piggyback on what Chief Shaw just said about the house party last Saturday. I thought it was a wonderful thing. We are in the process of getting some numbers of how many different areas that attended it Saturday. But I do want to add one thing. We had a few negative comments, and I'm not going to harp on it, but I want to let the community of Palatka understand we're trying to bring new things to the city. And if you have ideas or you want to participate, please reach out to myself or anybody in the commission or the county or Ms. Holmes, anybody on the city staff, and bring your ideas to us individually and not on social media. I thought it went well. I was very pleased with the music. And from the people that called me and text me, I think the majority had a wonderful time. So, and just saying that if you want to be involved and you want to bring new things to the city or new ideas, just please reach out to one of us and give us a chance to put you on the ticket, give you a chance to shine. And I just wanted to add that because I saw a few comments that really bothered me and I want to get a chance to say it. Other than that, we are waiting on y'all green light to open up for youth sports and programs. Me and Captain Williams getting together this week and talking about some things that we can do for the youth in the community and still keep the social distance. We're looking at thinking about doing a movie, drive-in movie, or some type of frisbee golf, things that we can kind of come up with to give the kids something to do, but still keep the social distance and the I guess sanitation thing in place. So these are things that's coming up. A lot of things that will be running through Mr. Holmes and the commissioners to make sure they're okay with it before we put it out. But we're just thinking, and anybody that have ideas, please share them. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Becker.
Nothing from finance, sir.
That's scary.
Working hard.
It's that time of year, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, we No, we are quickly transitioning we're in budget season. We're not transitioning. We're at our one-on-ones. And
We are neck, yes, we're
we're
neck
moving
deep.
forward. We're in the middle of it. So we're probably,
Yes,
we're 30 days away from making this thing, from seeing these numbers come to reality overall. So guys, let's go ahead and move forward. With that, I know the departments have been meeting. And so again, Ms. Becker, we thank you and your team for the work that you've done along with the city manager. And so we're continuing to move forward.
thank you, sir.
Ms. Robinson. Ms. Robinson, I don't know if she has anything. I've got her computer, so maybe she's coming forward. Oh, okay, so she doesn't have anything. Again, go to the City of Palatka's webpage or dial 329-0100 if you're looking for employment with the City of Palatka. And so we have those things. So again, thank you. Mr. Yule, do you have anything else?
Hey, sir, just a quick thank you, Mr. Holmes, you and the commissioners, the other commissioners, for helping us get going out here again. We will keep a close eye on our people coming in. We'll move the furniture 6 feet away and keep it clean, helping the chief. So thank you very much for your help.
Yule always sounds like he's talking to an airplane that's getting ready to land. And so we just appreciate that. Roger that.
Roger.
So so again, Ms. Tucker, you have anything for me?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner McCaskill.
Nothing tonight, Mayor Hill.
Commissioner Vice Mayor Brown. Gotta unmute.
Give us 1 second if you would. Ms. Caskell's going to try to unmute her laptop.
Just a little bit.
Mary, you got anything?
Everything.
Okay, we got you. Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
I too just want to say I enjoyed the stay in thing that took place on Saturday. I got a lot of positive feedbacks from the community members, those individuals around the city of Palatka, and some afar. I had friends from New York that actually tuned in for that. So I think it was a great idea. Thank you, Mayor, for spearheading that and bringing that idea onto the forefront. And I look forward to more opportunities of those kind.
Okay, Commissioner Moore.
Well, I just want to just thank everybody for putting that employee appreciation on. I think, you know, they are the nuts and bolts. They are the people who help our city run properly every day. And when we have a breakdown with one of our employees, we kind of see it and feel it throughout the city, independent, because everybody is important in our city. So I really enjoyed serving those guys. I think we should do a lot more of that, maybe at least every quarter or something like that. In addition to that, and other incentives that we can possibly do. So I thank y'all for helping to put that on, and enjoy serving our employees in the community. That's all I have.
Thank you. First up, one of the very most important things that we have going on right now, something that we need to continually talk about and get as much participation as we can. And I want us to put together some additional information out for our census, for our 2020 census. Those of you who have not filled out your census data, you can go to 2020census.gov. It is very important to this community that you all fill out your census data and that you fill out it correctly and that you fill it out as truthfully as you can. There is no penalty for making sure that you list everybody who's a part of your household. This is the information that allows us to get our proportionate share of resources so that we can do capital projects, so that we can get funding, so that we can do a lot of things within this community as a whole. Every voice has to be counted. And so we need everyone to go to 2020census.gov. If you have not, and if you need more information, again, call 329-0100. We can give you information or get someone to assist you with filling out your census report if necessary. And you have census takers that are coming around and reaching out to folks to make sure that you are counted in the census for this year. So again, make sure that every voice is heard so that the city of Palatka can get its fair share as it relates to the census. Commissioner Bohr, yes, sir.
Just make sure, Mayor, you emphasize that when people do not correctly report their numbers in their household, that the lack thereof, it deprives other people who have put in their information as it relates to being counted, because that's how, like you say, we get our funding based on that. And so when people don't put their numbers in correctly, that lowers the amount of money that we get. And then you ultimately are taking resources from other people, especially if you didn't participate in the count. So thanks for bringing that up.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure that we get information out to everyone as it relates to the census. And if at all possible, let's go ahead and see if we can get information out as well through our water bills also, and this continually push so that we can get that data out again. So again, 2020census.gov, make sure you're counted. Aside from that, again, kudos to T Gaines Entertainment for the work that they did with the block party, with the stay-at-home house party. I think a lot of people don't understand what the amount of work that went on with that event, just making sure that you stayed online, because you have a lot of record companies that will actually try to interrupt your signal with their software and the team of engineers that they had in place. They were able to keep that stream going when others would have been taken off. And so again, we're just excited about that, about the number of citizens that participated. Special thanks to both Eddie Cutright and Deborah Robinson, Commissioner Campbell for creating those watch parties, as well as the rest of the commission and staff who participated and created watch parties as well, and to Mr. Holmes for helping us out with that. We got a chance to see Commissioner McCaskill at one point put in the chat that she was dancing in her mirror. And so we just had a great time, and that last hour and a half was just phenomenal. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to do that while other communities were out hanging out and not social distancing. The city of Palatka was taking the precautions necessary for us to keep our numbers down. For those of you who don't know, today there was an additional 5 cases reported by the Putnam County EOC and Health Department today. An additional 5 cases, and we had 1 new death as it relates to COVID in this county. And so we've got to continually move forward and continue to be socially distanced and use the precautions necessary. I see a lot of folks out in the community not with their mask. The use of sanitizer, all the other precautions have kind of lessened just because we've started to reopen certain things. And I think more than anything, we have to continually remain safe and make this a part of our daily regimen as it relates to using sanitizer, washing our hands, and even masking when we are not alone socially. And so we've got to continually do the things necessary in this community. When we look at the numbers, we look at the numbers overall, our health ratings, as well as our demographics. Palatka is at a very, we're an at-risk community. And if we don't do the things necessary to protect ourselves and others, we will see the results of what happens when you don't take the precautions that are given by the CDC. And that's one thing that we don't want to see. And that's one reason that the city has taken the stance that we will not, that we'll be patient as we open up, because we've got a lot of folks who are at risk. We've got a 48.9% African-American demographic. We've seen from all the statistics that African-Americans have been hit the hardest as it relates to COVID at a rate anywhere from 3 to 1 to 5 to 1, depending on whether you're talking about deaths or hospitalizations. We've also looked at the number of seniors that we have within our community as a whole, and our citizens 64 and older are considered to be in the critical age group overall. And also folks who have pre-existing conditions, when you look at the fact that we rank somewhere in the bottom quadrant of health in the state of Florida, but there are a lot of individuals who have some pre-existing health conditions in our community, and we want to make sure that we don't rush back and that we also have our young people with outlets that will allow them to be safe. And so those are the things that we have in place. And overall, we're just continuing on. What would have been festival season for us is going to be great opportunities for us to be more creative. And the next creative opportunity that we have will be on June 13th. We will be dining in downtown, creating an event that will allow us to highlight local restaurants. Ms. Robbie Correa and revitalize Palatka along with downtown Palatka. We'll also be co-sponsoring that with the city to give us an opportunity to get our local restaurants in our downtown business district the ability to do some social distancing and some dining for our citizens as they have additional opportunities. And so that's going to be our next event that we're pushing on for our social distancing. And we want you guys to just continue to be mindful of those things as we move forward. Our local merchants have taken a big hit as it relates to sales, but we think there are opportunities for us to all play an important part in what goes on as we remain safe. So if we don't have anything else from anyone at this time, I will entertain a motion to dismiss. I would take it that the commissioners being off camera means that we are ready to go. And so, Vice Mayor, without anything further, I see you, Commissioner McCaskill. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting adjourned at 7:12. And for all of us, we will be signing off and leaving this meeting at this time. Again, thank you to our citizens for your patience as we continually promote Palatka.